Hello friends, my name is Serhiy and I'm from Ukraine. I've been interested in cryonics for several years now. You may have just learned about cryonics and are wondering about the progress made with freezing people, how many people have been preserved and what will happen next. To help you understand what's happening right now, let me explain it in a very brief and easy to understand way. Sure, I could list all the various organizations involved in cryonics, their activities and achievements, but they are all so much alike that it wouldn't be necessary. Therefore, let's take a closer look at just one organization, and the best fit for this role is the Alcor Life Extension Foundation, commonly known as Alcor. The organization is so old that it has been involved in cryonics since almost the beginning. The first person to be cryogenically frozen has been for 57 years now, while Alcor itself just celebrated its 52nd anniversary. This organization, possessing the most unique name and logo, the one presented here, claims the right to be called the world leader in cryonics. Let's examine what the self-proclaimed leader in cryonics has accomplished in over 50 years of work. The first question that comes to mind is how we should actually evaluate Alcor's work. There is no universally accepted system for assessing the success of cryonics organizations. Well, give it some thought together. After all, cryonics was created to save people's lives, correct? We freeze a person to save them from death and preserve them in liquid nitrogen so that their body won't decompose and they will be thawed, cured and brought back to life in the future. Human life is the most valuable, so the more people an organization saves from death, the better. Saving 100 million people is a much better achievement than saving 100,000, which is a crucial measure of success in cryonics. Let's take a look at how many people Alcor has been able to save in 52 years of operation. You can do it quite easily. Go to the Alcor website, then scroll down and see that they have saved 233, not millions, not even thousands, but 233 people. People who have been in cryonics for 50 plus years have only been able to freeze 233 human beings. It's such an insignificant number that we won't even consider how many of them are frozen in a good enough condition to be revived. Just so you understand, based on statistics, over a span of 52 years, approximately 2,720,000,000 people passed away worldwide, while they froze only 233 people. That's about 0.0001% of all people who died. In simpler terms, a staggering 99.99999% of people departed into eternity without any impact from this organization's existence. So what is the point of its existence then? However, wait a minute. When I mentioned the percentage of people who departed into eternity, I didn't count the people preserved by other organizations. After all, there are other organizations involved in cryonics, such as the Cryonics Institute, CryoRus and Tomorrow Biostasis. Perhaps Alcor hasn't been successful in cryonics because they have been helping others all along. Since they see themselves as the world leader in cryonics, they think it's crucial to spread cryonics around the world. They have been doing just that, which makes sense. Perhaps Alcor has been communicating with various progressive communities worldwide all this time, providing cryonics trainings, seminars and conferences and assisting them in starting their own companies. Or perhaps Alcor has developed simple cryopreservation instructions that can be used by anyone anywhere in the world to prepare for the cryopreservation of a loved one at home. Or perhaps Alcor has launched an online store in which, with worldwide delivery, they sell everything required for cryonics, including cryoprotectants and special drippers for them, drugs and devices for pumping blood, devices for cooling a person with nitrogen vapor, and cryocapsules for storing them in. Well, none of these things Alcor has ever done. There is no cryonics equipment store. Moreover, if you write to Alcor about purchasing a cryoprotectant, for example, they simply won't respond to you, just as they wouldn't respond to me or others who wrote to their official email. However, they do answer questions about payment for the services almost instantly. Other organizations have not been very successful either, and have come into existence despite Alcor, rather than because of Alcor. Throughout its history, Alcor has done everything possible to prevent anyone from doing cryonics but themselves. Only a few groups of people across the globe have been able to come together, form a community and start their own organization in cryonics, gaining the necessary knowledge, technology and understanding of what needs to be done. Alcor only claims that they are advancing cryonics in some way, but in reality they do nothing to make life easier for others. Alcor has always been secretive about its technologies, so that you understand, until 2020 there were no comprehensive documents from which you could learn how to freeze a person or do cryonics properly. In other words, you couldn't learn it from anywhere at all. But a miracle, in 2020 Alcor published a book on their website, a massive 715-page manual detailing almost every step of cryonics. I remember when I first laid eyes on this book, I couldn't believe my eyes. It went so contrary to everything Alcor had done before. I couldn't wrap my mind around why they made the cryopreservation manual public in the first place. I've read this book in its entirety. A physician who is also interested in cryonics read it as well. And you know what we discovered? Although the book is the only comprehensive manual on cryonics at the moment, it is written in such a way that makes it impossible to prepare cryopreservation based on it. While an Alcor employee may be able to glean some insights from it, it is pretty much useless for others. The point is that the book primarily focused on the cryoprotection procedure, a crucial aspect of cryonics. It is when cryoprotectants, special substances that prevent ice from forming, are injected into the body. Without cryoprotectants, when the body is cooled, the water in the body turns into ice, which severely damages the body's cells. Anyhow, the book deliberately omits instructions on how to prepare cryoprotectants, their composition and storage requirements. In other words, you can learn how to do cryoprotection from a book, but you won't be able to put it into practice, since cryoprotectants are not available in stores. Moreover, you also won't be able to request them from your local chemistry lab, because you need the instructions on how to make them. You won't find detailed schematics of devices you might need for cryonics, schematics of doers and so on in the book either. That leaves about 40% of the book that provides some useful information, such as tips on avoiding autopsy or using ice or dry ice to preserve the body. However, it won't give you the ability to organize top-notch cryopreservation. By the way, you would still have to speak to a lawyer about the autopsy part. But how to place ice or dry ice around the body you would somehow figure out it even without the book. Just think about it. Alcor spent years writing a book that was intentionally useless to anyone other than their employees. And that's when I began to recognize that perhaps we may have misjudged the Alcor organization. While you and I have looked at how many people have been frozen by its employees, those employees seem to have never had the aim of saving as many people from death as possible. You and I have tried to assess how much Alcor has helped others in cryonics, but its employees have done everything to, on the contrary, prevent others from pursuing cryonics. What have they been doing all this time then? I have a hunch that the people who work at Alcor have been attempting to create a world where most people do not have access to technology and are unable to undergo cryonics. It's a world where only a tiny fraction of people are given the possibility to save themselves from death. It brings to mind those dystopian films where an evil mega corporation has taken over. The founders and their cronies get everything, leaving the hard-working people with nothing. Perhaps it was the evil corporation that the Alcor employees intended to build. Well, let's delve into it and assess their success. It's certainly not an easy task. Let's ponder on what a truly evil corporation should be like. First, it should only be for privileged, not ordinary people. And here, Alcor adaptedly succeeded. They managed to put the price for preserving the entire body between $220,000 and $270,000 or even higher, while their competitors in the United States charge only $30,000 to $45,000 for similar services. In contrast, Germany offered full-fledged cryopreservation services for free, funded solely by donations, but only for neuropreservation. Not every American, much less the inhabitants of the planet as a whole, can afford $220,000. So here we must acknowledge the success of Alcor. They were able to make their cryonics as inaccessible as they could. Second, a truly evil corporation has to have deep ties to the government, allowing them to manipulate laws and bribe politicians for their own benefit. That's so evil. So here I intentionally googled and could not find any mention of cryonics laws or politicians speaking about cryonics in the United States. The politicians don't seem to know this organization exists at all, and that definitely can be called a success. Alright, just one more thing. The evil corporation in cryonics must conduct perfect cryopreservation, so that the wealthy elite get everything and the rest of the world get nothing. It didn't work out well here either. Even according to official statistics, a lot of people were simply dumped into a barrel of nitrogen without any cryoprotection, along with people who passed away and lay for days before being discovered. Additionally, there were cases where it took at least 8 hours to arrive to the patient. Such a subpar service is certainly not for the privileged ones. Turns out they couldn't even manage to transform into an evil corporation. I mentioned only one of the organizations in cryonics, but you can draw a general picture since all other organizations are pretty much the same. They also have very few customers, keep their technology concealed, and can't boast of having a number of well-organized cryopreservation procedures.